Alright, we've covered the JoJo's, we've covered their major antagonists, and now we're going on into every other evil entity. Only the strongest can remain. Now, JoJo has a good amount of strong minor antagonists, I'd say, but I think my only issue is that we're going to be probably not making a team that beats the JoJo's or the main villains, but we can at least try to have them of a similar caliber. Now, how strong could a team be of the best hitters? Well, honestly, I think before this video really starts, I would think that we needed 2 members per part. But we're going to go with the number 1 picks first and then see how we feel at the end of it. In Phantom Blood, our strongest villain besides Dio has to easily go to Tarkus of the Resurrected Night Brothers. He doesn't have the most to him in terms of toolkit. He has muscle and a weakness to Hamon and the Sun, as he is a zombie-like character. But aside from those 2 things, he should be somewhat of a battle tactician. He's not the smartest one in the entire franchise, but he has a history of greatness with beating past figures. But that's about it. Next up is Battle Tendency. Now, Battle Tendency has our second in command, which is Wamu. As a pillarman, Wamu is capable of the following: super strength, super speed, super durability, super senses, super intelligence, high level body manipulation, and absorption of living beings, because pillarman cells release a digestive acid, so you walk by them, you're smoked. Now, Wamu is special due to having an elemental mode, which is essentially a style of power due to their ability to manipulate their body at such a high level. Wamu's style of element is wind, and it's capable of extremely strong destructive power, just by essentially contorting his body extremely fast. And it can do something like also reflecting sunlight off of his body by using the air inside of his lungs, which completely nullifies said weakness that he had. But, it's not meant to be used during battle. It's just kind of a get in, get out tool, from what we've seen from it so far, at least. Now, he's a great member on this team and is extremely applicable, as he is a battle tactician that has went wit for wit against Joseph, who is our pinnacle in intelligence. For some reason, he beat Cars, who was originally the smartest guy ever, but it's a whole thing. But like Tarkus, he is also weak to Hamon and the Sun, but he can do a pretty good job not letting that inconvenience him if he's in the right environment. But that's not good enough. Again, this is with the goal of, let's go take down the Joestar family, or just the antagonist group or something like that. Like it's taking a bit for us right now. But next up, we have Stardust Crusaders. Now, this second man here is probably the closest thing we have to a main antagonist strength. Vanilla Ice and his stand Cream. Now, Vanilla Ice is one of Dio's most loyal followers, and his stand Cream is a terrifying stand with the following abilities. Void Consumption. Now, Cream has the ability to create a void by opening its mouth wide and swallowing itself, rendering it invisible and impervious to all attacks. This void can consume anything it touches, effectively erasing it from existence, and makes it almost impossible to detect until he strikes. What I mean almost impossible. If Cream is running through the ground, you could definitely see that. You're like, okay, so there's that guy. You can't see it, but you can at least see what's happening in that instance. And as for its strength, the sheer destructive power of Cream's Void is just, it takes out anything. Because this is essentially just like a portal to another area entirely, but you're going to get removed from the equation. Factually guaranteed. Like, there's no way that you're getting your stuff back with this in mind. Now, his weaknesses are finicky, because he did become a vampire during his only fight. So the idea is basically, if he wants his regeneration factor, then he's going to have to be weak to sunlight and Hamon. So we'll hold this for how it is currently, because I don't want to preemptively have him as a vampire, because this team has a weakness already. We don't know if he'll actually have the need to be a regeneration person and take care of himself like that. It might just get so good that, we don't have to worry about this. Moving on into part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable. Now, who is the number 1 after Kira? Well, before Kira had been established as the major antagonist, we should remember that it was Akira Otoshi, the stand user of Red Hot Chili Pepper. Now, Akira is a pretty strong opponent with a stand that's better than all right, I'd say. Like Red Hot Chili Pepper has the following abilities: electric manipulation, and can manipulate electricity using it to travel at high speeds through, electrical cables and devices. This makes Akira extremely mobile with his stand, at least in the sense that it's a far range stand and a close range stand, just dependent on how much energy is it being provided, more so. And when it gets the right amount of electricity that it needs, it can just be overwhelmingly powerful and destroy its opponents. But that's with that in mind. Now, the stand can absorb electrical energy from its surroundings that help and not only enhance its power, but allows it to heal from injuries. So I'd say that this definitely makes this stand really good, but it's with the electrical area in mind. And when we have these versus scenarios, it's essentially like this blank, empty white room or something like that that just doesn't exist. It's not bound by space or time, and it's both everything and nothing altogether. So if it was able to do anything there, it would have to be absorb another electrical user or something like that of the sorts, because it doesn't really have anything to pick up off from unless it was like in this environment that already exists within JoJo, because the electricity is going to exist in general, like, and alongside that there's always going to be like wires underground and all that. But when it comes to just this fictional scenario where you're just going to have all these characters in one area and he has to go as is, not really sure exactly what he's supposed to be doing. Like there's the amount of power that he has normally, but it's not really enough compared to what we've seen him be capable of when he's powered up. Next up is Golden Wind, and for this part, our strongest minor antagonist is none other than Risotto Nero, the leader of La Squadra Esecuzioni and the stand user of Metallica. Now, an off-script moment here. Now, he didn't exactly get the number one strongest minor antagonist spot when I had ranked the Golden Wind minor antagonist with Jobber and Metas. But when it comes down to like these normal situations, I guess, like for the fighting case, having Pulpo just out didn't really make much sense to me. And Gyachao is also another arguable case. Like is way better than Pulpo for sure. Like you can just have Gyachao instead of Metallica, but I'd pick Risotto purely because his position as a minor antagonist is like he's the number one minor antagonist there is, because he is the leader of La Squadra and no one else really beats him in terms of importance and rank aside from like Chocolata in a sense. But Chocolata was also really finicky to get to work for some sort of idea like this, plus really isn't the character for it. So by like context, Risotto definitely would be the strongest one to involve here. But not only is Risotto Nero a powerful stand user, but also a skilled and very much experienced assassin. His tactician mind and having like that type of stand, a combination of the two, lets him do some of the most, I guess, like some of the better work when it comes to like people in their jobs in JoJo, And you really have to think about it. Like, we were one Narancia away from making Golden Wind shorter, essentially. And if you told me that before I knew that fight was gonna happen, I would have been just blown away, because that's just a wild idea. But seeing that fight, knowing he had been able to work around King Crimson that well, whew, amazing work. Shout out to him. Now moving on into Stone Ocean. Yeah. For this part, our stronger minor antagonist is who? Who's our strongest minor antagonist? I feel like it's a video to do, but, Foo Fighters had been originally a minor villain, but then had been a friend longer than that. You have Planet Waves, which is the basis for a lot of scaling. Then there's Rikiel, who had performed really well against Jolene. Gwess is a good character, but she's not like second to Poochie by any means. I'm not sure, no one has been around the same tier as Poochie in terms of general audience reception and involvement. But I guess I'm really just going to pick Riquel because that was such a good fight, you know? And Riquel is a complex opponent, I'd say, but fairly easy if you just think about it like in the ideas, oh, this is manipulation of heat energy, you know? Riquel's stand is Sky High. Here's what Sky High is capable of, right? So there's rod manipulation. Sky High allows Riquel to control rods, which are just these invisible, almost invisible creatures, also a bit enigmatic, that fly at such like high speeds. Riquel can command these rods to attack his enemies by targeting specific points on their bodies. Now, the first thing they'll do with it, you can call this temperature control, because the rods will happen to suck the heat out of whatever selected body part that it is from afar. And when they're all concentrated in one spot, the rapid decrease in heat can cause body parts and even internal organs prone to just disease and failure. This ability has all types of effects when specific to the body parts, essentially. Stealing the heat from their eyelids can force them shut. Stealing the heat from their muscles can shut them down and potentially even make them rot. Riquel can use this with enough precision to just control someone's hand or even just speech if you do that, if like that was the goal. Ankles, you can steal heat from them, twist them up, causing pain and immobility. And even just the idea of just like targeting the hypothalamus near the upper jaw can slow down the visual perception of targets, making them see everything with a few seconds delay, sort of like Jorno's thing. And if the rods concentrate on the brain stem, which control all sensory and motor functions like heartbeats and all, the victim is going to guaranteed die. You can also use the rods to numb nerves and stuff like that from feeling pain and all that. It's sort of a good benefit and control of the body, but you can also enhance the body's healing processes and you can recover quickly from certain injuries in combat. So just off of the description of this ability alone, you're going to be like, oh, you know what? I think that this was pretty easily the most strongest character here, because that's genuinely broken, and it is. You know, you like it really is, because this is a very powerful toolkit, and seeing JoJolion had to set herself on fire to cancel this stuff out, it not only says how strong the stand is and how cool the fight was, but how raw you have to be to fight against it and win, especially in the way that JoJolion had done it. Like, that's just raw as hell. Next up in the steel ball run, I feel like there's going to be some like, yo, what the heck's going on here? But for this part, our best minor antagonist should be Diego Brando, also known as Dio, with his stand Scary Monsters, not the time stop variation. Now, when I usually did these things, what I wanted to do is have, okay, if I'm going to have minor antagonists, they did not become friends later, and they're just their own thing. Sure, of course. But this is an area where I'm like, buddy, Diego is really such a, like, he's a character. He's like a genuine character and important here. And I feel like he's the most constant thing we've have going for the minor antagonist area. We can have other people, but honestly speaking, I'm like, I don't think I want other people, not even because of their abilities or whatever and whether or not they're powerful. It's just that this just makes the most sense, especially considering that the antagonist of this part, this major antagonist, wasn't even a Dio. It was Funny Valentine, you know? So this specific regard, I think Diego Brando should be fine here, especially considering I'm not going with the world variation to give these guys a lot of room. We're keeping it within the universe of Steel Ball Run. And that's kind of why I'm just fine with having Scary Monsters be the focus here. Now, what is Scary Monsters? Well, this grants Diego the ability to transform himself and others into dinosaurs. It's definitely different in the case of JoJo. So these dinosaur forms have enhanced physical abilities, such as increased strength, durability, and speed, making them good in combat, but also, there's the contagion part of this. Now, Diego can spread the dinosaur transformation to others through physical contact when he or his stand touches someone. Now, they can be infected with the stand's power, causing them to transform into a dinosaur, and these transformed individuals retain their cognitive abilities, but they're under Diego's influence, effectively creating a small army of dinosaur minions. Now, this ability allows Diego to just overwhelm his opponents with just sheer numbers and brute force, using them to just do really anything that he needs to. It's sort of just like part 1 Dio and Phantom Blood. Instead of zombies, they're dinosaurs, which I still can't get over in terms of explaining. It just sounds hilarious. I don't know what to do. But yeah, in his dinosaur form, he gets heightened senses, reflexes. He's a better hunter and fighter, and altogether, it's just, yeah, he's just part dinosaur. It's like this. It's like as if he took a freaking zone fruit from One Piece, and now he's just, oh, I'm part man, part dinosaur. This is my power. Except he's like kind of all dinosaur when he wants to be. It's, I guess, yeah, that's a lot like Zone, but yeah. And finally, JoJolion. This move is supposed to be Tamaki Damo with vitamin C. And I know it. I can feel it. A bunch of people are going to be like, yes, this is the time where we involve Tamaki Damo. It's his time to shine. But there are a couple of characters that could take his spot. I'm being so for real. Plus, this only really works in like a limited setting with a bunch of objects or something in the way. Tamaki Damo is not like a normal fighter. I just don't think so. Even in the set, I don't know. I'm just not on the Tamaki Damo bandwagon in this specific regard. Like, the character's interesting, sure, but just this, no. Urban Gorilla and Brainstorm are great stance for crowd control, which is, that's something that'd be positive for building the team. And this is about having the strongest person here, so strongest part of the toolkit of like the whole team. That'd really help. And also, aside from crowd control, fine. If it's more individualistic and like specific strength within the person, Dr. Wu, Dr. Wu can be great as an individual. And matter of fact, I'll pick him for right now, just to show y'all how this works. All right. Dr. Wu is a rock human with a stand that's self-titled, also called Dr. Wu. I don't know why it feels like it sounds ridiculous, but yeah, Dr. Wu is Dr. Wu. Now, Dr. Wu allows Wu Tomoki to break his body apart into small, independently controlled stones, and then, he can reconstruct himself then and now. It's like, oh, okay, I'm rocks, and I'm not. You can control it. Now, these particles have no power besides floating around with the wind and stuff like that, making it difficult for enemies to really capture him and stuff. But his gravel form can also, induce allergic reactions into the other people if he is inhaled, because he essentially becomes a foreign body. There's substance integration. Wu can add other substances to his gravel form, such as, grounded up sleeping pills when he's trying to subdue the opponent, like Mitsuba or Yasuo. Like, that's how that worked. And when it comes to him being gravel and just changing it in and out, he can just enter through any really opening where your body has like an orifice altogether, and this ability can be extremely broken because he can fuse with body parts like bones, ligaments, tendons, causing terrible damage inside. He also has like essentially parasitic control, with the ability to just control someone as is, because he has all of his pieces in their body, and you can paralyze the person at a time. You can just control them in general. You can control them to the point where not only their body moves and all that, but you can also control their stand to some degree too, because he took control of Mitsuba's body and her stand ability with being Awakening 3 Leaves, and was able to make her send out arrows. And I'm like, bro, that's using someone else's stand. That's like a better form of Lovers, Harvest, all that, because this is someone who's able to actively be a part of essentially everything and nothing at the same time. Like, he doesn't even have to commit fully to someone's body either. So if this is our team, genuinely, I think I've just made it essentially like largely better with this Part 8 edition. Because imagine this, right? How well would they perform? We'll get right into it right now. Well, I don't think we can pull up to the main antagonists of JoJo with this team. Won't work. It's fine, but can we do it for other franchises? Depends, For example, my video with the major JoJo antagonists and all the admirals from One Piece. With this team, from a distance, Akainu could just shoot his magma fist to the sky and then rain onto these team, and we'll lose like 4 people instantly. That I don't think it's necessarily better off of that in specific. But if we were to have it fight against, like the Sound 4 from Naruto, way better odds, you know, compared at least. Not saying who'd win outright, but I think they do pretty well. I still have to figure it out, obviously. This is something I'm just putting on myself on the spot. But, you know, what's their synergy? What are they capable of with this in mind? Well, here's what I thought about, right? Vanilla Ice would be actually an amazing stealth assassin in these large battles. And say it's not even stealth, say it's just like very direct. Hey, that's pretty good. You know, it's pretty good as is. Because with the help of Dr. Wu, he would essentially be able to see inside and outside, being like help guided in a sense. Because Dr. Wu doesn't have to fully commit to like, I'm going to control your body for you. But something as simple as just like, oh, hey, we have vision inside and outside so you can be fully directed no matter where he is. And that's completely broken because with having Dr. Wu inhabit Vanilla Ice's body, we've essentially created the perfect stand combination, I think. Because the number one issue of Cream is that you can't see where you're going. You're just ballparking. You're like, I guess I'm doing this. And now that you can see it, and this is a ball of nothingness that can go through anything and then destroy it. Not just anything, you know, like some certain things like Love Train and stuff like that. That won't make any sense. But, you know, everything else, you know, like not dimensional stuff and like I'll put that out the window. But if you just wanted to just, oh, hey, Vanilla Ice goes right through the body of an admiral. Hey, guess what? They're dead, you know? That ignores durability, buddy. That's broken. Now, our status ailments inflictors can be, you know, Rikiel, Dr. Wu, and Risotto, which means blood loss, Risotto, and validating your muscles and brain activity, Rikiel, and Dr. Wu to an extent, and validating your bones, that's definitely Dr. Wu. And once you can't do anything, it's over. And you're just on the ground. Oh, I can't use any part of my body whatsoever. And they have the strength being Tarkus, Wambu, Vanilla Ice, who finished the job. Red Hot Chili Pepper, with no wires, though, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd switch this guy out. I'd switch this guy out instantly. If you switch him out with someone like Terunosuke Miyamoto and his stand Enigma, completely large difference. I'll tell you that off top. Enigma has the ability to transform anything into a piece of paper. So anyone who has potential of being an issue or an attack with the right conditions can be sealed away and potentially used for later. Like, oh, hey, someone sent you a freaking missile. Well, now I'm sealing that in some paper, and the state of it being seeking and its target can be flipped so fast. Like, oh, hey, flippy dippy, Uno reverse card, it's on you instead. And Teruno can also transform himself into paper, and the transformation is instant. That there's a lot more to work with that, and that's crazy. And certain things like Wamu and all that existing, like, I don't really know how much Tarkus can be a factor in here, but if Wamu is to just like essentially like assimilate some of his parts and be even stronger than he is, I think Wamu probably beats Tarkus in terms of the strength department. He just looks bigger, but you know, that's pretty good. I would definitely have Wamu take out a lot of the regular people that just like, oh, hey, I have a made of biological material, not like a Logia user from One Piece, but if he just walks by them, his body will eat away at the other person. And let's say if they're not letting him walk by, hey, all my status inflictors in the back already, they're just turning off your body in general. So this absorption thing's gonna happen, buddy. And if it's not me, it's gonna be Vanilla Ice over there. You're done. This is crazy. This is crazy hacks. And I honestly thought that I was going to have like the two minor antagonists thing going on per team to make this balance against enemies. But realistically speaking, I think that this team in general can do a lot of damage as is. Like realistically, this is a pretty strong team. And, you know, we're not working much with like, originally it was Red Hot Chili Pepper, but now it's going to be Tarkus. So he's going to be the guy that's in the back. But you know, besides strength and durability, you know, like, that's not really a bad thing. You know, every team needs a tank, but he's a tank that doesn't tank, so it's kind of, you know. it's like, oh, we have a big, strong, tough guy, but it's not really, everyone else is pretty good off of it. No one really needs his help, but that's pretty funny, you know. Who would you like to see against this team, though? I think this team is really, really strong. Not major antagonist strong, but I think that they can do pretty well. Like, if you had this team against the Akatsuki, I'd be pretty worried. I don't really know how that goes off the top of my head, but being a Naruto fan alongside being a JoJo fan, I feel like the Akatsuki should get it, but that's a whole thing to get into. But yeah, we can run it up. If y'all tell me who y'all want these guys to fight of all people, we can try to figure that stuff out, talk to the boys about it and everything. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, peace out and Godspeed.